Good morning, all of you. Now, today we will again resume the chapter Constitutional Design, and we will start with 3.3 Making of the Indian Constitution. Now, in the first class that we had, we talk about South Africa and the system of apartheid, the system of racial discrimination that was prevalent in South Africa, and we also studied that how South Africa came to be a republic and how there both the oppressed and the oppressor, means the whites and the blacks, they sat down and together formed the constitution for their country. Though it was very difficult to trust the other party, but still they somehow managed, and finally they gave themselves one of the finest constitution the world has ever had. Okay, so now we'll continue. Now, like South Africa, India's constitution was also drawn up or formed in very difficult circumstances. Now, first problem was that to make a constitution for such a big and diverse country like India, where people belonging to so many different religions, coming from so many different regions, having different cultures and traditions, and speaking different languages. So, for making a constitution for such a diverse country, now it was not an easy task. Second, at that time, the people, they were emerging from the status of slaves. Under the British rule, we were like slaves for about 200 years. So now we were emerging from the status of slaves to the status of independent citizens. So that was also one difficulty. And the country, it was born out of partition. That was a bloody partition. So many lakhs of people were killed on both the sides. So the country emerged as independent after a bloody partition, and so this experience was very traumatic, very sad, painful for both India and Pakistan, this process of partition. And at least see 10 lakh of people were killed on both sides of the border in the violence that occurred during that time. Then there was one more problem. The British, they had left it on the princely states. Now at the time India got independence, there were about 560, more than 560 princely states in India. Now their merger was a big problem because the British left it on them to join whichever country they wanted. Now their merger was a very difficult aspect, and these princely states were basically the subsidiary states. If you remember, in class 8 you have done the subsidiary alliance, remember?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so the person who signed the subsidiary treaty, he came under the total control of the Britishers. The ruler was allowed to rule, but he was under the supremacy or the domination of the Britishers. Okay, so these princely states, they were left uncertain, and it was not known which country they would join. And when the constitution was being framed, the future of the country, it did not look as secure as we see it now. And so the constitution makers, they had tensions, anxieties about the present of the country and also about the future of the country. So in those circumstances, the Indian constitution was formed. But despite all these difficulties, there was one big advantage for India, for the maker of the Indian constitution. Now, unlike, this was different from South Africa, unlike South Africa, here they do not have to create a consensus, means a mutual agreement or a general agreement about what democratic India or a free India should look like. Why? Because during the national struggle, during the struggle for independence, much of the agreement or consensus has already taken place as to how we wish to see our independent country. And so the struggle for independence, it was not just to get rid of the British rule, but it was also to rejuvenate or bring back life to our country and to transform the society and politics of our country. Now, there were many differences among the people as to what path India should take after it gets its independence. Now, some thought that for few years it should be better if India remained under the military rule, but some were totally against it and thought that no, since the people had fought, the common people also have fought, so it should be a democracy. And so there were sharp contrasts as to the opinion as to which path India should take, and such differences even exist today. But there were some ideas or ideals that were accepted by all, whether they um, agreed with one or another, but there were still some basic ideas on which all people agreed. Now, even as far back as in 1928, when India did not have its independence, but Motilal Nehru and 8 other Congress leaders, they drafted a constitution for free India. Then in 1931 also, at the Karachi session of the Indian National Congress, uh, they also wrote down and they discussed and deliberated as to how the India's constitution, independent constitution, independent India's constitution should look like. And now there were some things which were common in both these documents, like universal adult franchise, right to freedom for all, right to equality for all, and also protecting the rights of minorities in our country. A country is so diverse, and there are such huge differences in ratio among the people of minorities and majority. Now, when I talk about minority and majority, that is not only in terms of religion. Now, that could be in terms of language also. Like the people speaking Malayalam or Tamil are in minority in North India, but they are in majority in South. All right, and uh, minority and majority can be in any form. So the people, they accepted that they had to protect the rights of the minorities, and these basic values or ideas were accepted by all leaders even much before the Constituent Assembly it met to discuss on the constitution for free India. Are you all able to hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now, India was under the British
Yes,
rule,
ma'am.
and the Britishers have already started the parliamentary form of government in India, and so we were having elections also under them, elections to the provincial assemblies here. So the Indians, they already knew the working of the political institutions, and so they were already familiar with the political institutions and under the colonial rule. And though under the British rule, the voting rights were given only to few, not all people had the voting rights. And since all the people did not have the voting rights, so the legislative assemblies which were elected, they were said to be weak legislatures. Why? Because all people did not have voting rights, so obviously all sections of society were not represented in these legislatures, and that is why they were called as weak legislatures. Then elections were held in 1937 to the provincial legislatures and ministries all over British India, but these were not fully totally democratic governments, because obviously we were there under the control of the Britishers. But the experience which the Indians, they gained under these British legislatures, now they proved very useful when India had to set up their own institution, because they already knew the working. And that is why the Indian constitution has adopted many details and policies from the Government of India Act of 1935, and that is why sometimes the Government of India Act of 1935 is also called as a mini constitution. Why? Because so many procedures have been taken from there, so many policies have been taken from there and incorporated in the constitution for the free country. Now, so many years of thinking and deliberation, discussion as to how the constitution of India should look like. Now it helped. Then the leaders, our leaders also got confidence because they could learn from the constitutions of the other countries. Then many of our leaders, they were inspired by the ideals of the French Revolution. What were the ideals of the French Revolution, by the way? Yes, class 9th. We have,
Ma'am, equality and
yes.
Fraternity, liberty, and equality.
equality, fraternity.
All right. So liberty, equality, and fraternity. Yes, good. Okay, so many of our leaders were inspired by the ideals of the French Revolution, then the parliamentary form of government of Britain, and the Bill of Rights, means fundamental rights in the US Constitution. Then many were also inspired by the socialist revolution in the Russia, and they also thought that our system should be based on social and economic equality. So they were inspired but by all these things, but they did not simply imitate or copy what others have done. And while they were taking up these things from the constitutions of the other countries, but at each step they were thinking and discussing that whether these things were suited to our conditions, to our society, to our politics or not. And all these factors, they have contributed to the making of our constitution. Now, who were the members or who were the people who made the constitution? And here in the coming pages you have a small sketch about some of the important people who had a role in making of the constitution. Now, the drafting or the rough sketch of the document, which is called as the constitution, now it was done by a body which was a body of elected representatives, which were called as the Constituent Assembly. And the elections to this Constituent Assembly, they were held in July 1946, and the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly was held in December 1946. But soon after, the country was divided into India and Pakistan, and so as a result the Constituent Assembly was also divided into the Constituent Assembly of India and the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. Then the Constituent Assembly, which wrote down Indian Constitution, it comprised of 299 members, and our constitution, it was adopted on 26th November 1949, but it came into effect on 26th January 1950, and that is why to mark this day we have our Republic Day on that particular day every year. Now constitution was made so many years back. Now then why should we accept that constitution even today? Now we have already seen one reason above, and that was that the constitution, it does not only tell about the views of the members of the Constituent Assembly. They were just 299 members, and the constitution, it does not reflect their views. And we have already seen that already there had been a consensus before that, when Motilal Nehru and the Karachi session, both at that time also, they already had a consensus. So what we can say, that this constitution does not only have the ideas of 299 members, but a general agreement of all the people of that time. And now many countries in the world, they had to rewrite their constitution. And why? Because its principles were not accepted by most of the people. And then in other countries the constitution is there, but it exists just like a paper and nobody really follows it. But the experience of our constitution has been different, and over the last century, half a century, several groups of people, sometimes they have questioned some provisions of the constitution, but no social group till this time has ever questioned the validity or the legitimacy of the constitution, and that in itself is a big achievement for any constitution. Now second point, why we should accept this constitution. Second is that the constituent assembly, they represented the people of India. You know, at that time we did not have universal adult franchise. What is universal adult franchise?
Ma'am, the right to vote to all citizens who are 18 and above.
above the age of 18.
All right, so all adult population having the right to vote. So you know, at that time we did not have universal adult franchise, but they are saying that the constitution of the constituent assembly, obviously it was not directly elected by the people, but they were elected by the members of the provincial legislative assemblies, and so you know, they were elected by the people from the different state legislative assemblies or different provincial legislative assemblies. Now what that mentioned, that we have people from all geographical areas. You know, we have so many states and the people were chosen from all those different states, so we have a fair geographical share of members coming from all regions. Then though this constituent assembly, it was dominated by the Indian National Congress. Now that was the party that led the India's struggle for independence. But you know, in the Congress itself, there were people having so many different opinions and views. Now if you remember, last year we studied about the Congress and moderates and extremists, and we studied about the pro changers and the no changers. Do you remember all that?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So you know, among the Congress also, there were so many people, those who were having different opinions and ideas, and so the assembly, they also had many members who did not agree with the Congress. And in social terms, if we talk about social terms, then also this constituent assembly, it had members from so many different regions, and from so many different now obviously they were coming from different provinces, so they were speaking different languages, they were following different regions, they came from different class and different castes and occupations. And so though we did not have universal adult franchise at that time, but even if we would have had, then also the constitution would not have been very different. Why? Because we already had people from all the regions basically, and from all groups of people. And finally, why we should follow the constitution made more than 50 years ago was in the way in which the constituent assembly worked. Now they worked in a systematic, open and consensual, means agreeable manner. Everything was in a proper system, it was open before all, and whatever was agreed by all, that was only picked up. And so first what happened, they agreed on some basic principles, and then a drafting committee under Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, they prepared a draft for the discussion. Alright, so a draft constitution for discussion. You know, that is how a bill is passed in the parliament. Do you know how a bill is passed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, how?
Ma'am, first the bill is
Yes, sir.
introduced
Hmm.
in the parliament, ma'am, upper house or lower.
Okay.
Then ma'am voting.
Okay. So basically how it all happens is, first a draft is presented in the form of a bill. So bill is a rough draft, and so a draft is presented, and then you know, the people discuss this and deliberate on it, make some changes, and then finally it is put to vote. If it is you know passed by one house, and it moves to the second house, and again the same procedure is followed, and then finally it is sent to the president for its approval, and when he signs it, it becomes a law. So here also, you know, a draft constitution for discussion was set up, and then several rounds of discussion took place, clause by clause. They took each and every clause and discussed on it. More than 2000 amendments were considered, and the members of the constituent assembly, they discussed and deliberated for 114 days over a period of 3 years, and every document, every word spoken in the Constituent Assembly, it has been preserved and recorded, and these are called as the Constituent Assembly debates. And when printed, these debates are bulky, 12 bulky volumes to 12 huge volumes, and if you go through them, they give the reason that why each and every provision or clause was accepted in the constitution, and they are used to interpret the meaning of the constitution. Now 3.4. Now in this book, in the coming chapters, we will study about some of the exact provisions of the constitution but on different subjects. But at this stage, we simply have to understand the basic philosophy of what this constitution is all about. Now that can be done in two ways. Either we get it by reading the views of some of the leaders, great leaders of that time on a constitution, but at the same time it is also important to read what the constitution says about its own self. So we can find the philosophy of a constitution in two ways. First, to read what the distinguished people has said on the constitution, and then to read what the constitution says about it itself. And this is what the preamble of the constitution is all about. What is a preamble? Anyone knows? Class 9. Preamble.
Ma'am, code.
Ma'am, short introduction to constitution.
All right. So
Short introduction.
right, it is an introduction to the constitution, and it tells about the ideals, all right, of the constitution, the basic philosophy of the constitution. Now on this particular page which you have opened just now, page 46 and 47, there are some important people who are members of the Constituent Assembly. A little sketch about them is given, some information about this is given, and you will find that there are a few very important names missing from there, like Mahatma Gandhi. Now he was not a member of the Constituent Assembly, but still at the same time there were some people in the Constituent Assembly who had the same vision as Mahatma Gandhi. And years ago, before we got independence, Mahatma Gandhi, while writing in his magazine Young India in 1931, he had written what he wanted the constitution to be like. Now let's see what he says. I shall strive for a constitution which will release India from all thraldom. Thraldom is bondage, slavery, and patronage means assistance, backing. So he said that what Mahatma Gandhi wrote in 1931, that he wants a constitution that will release India from all bondages, all slavery, all assistance from others in any way, and he says that he will be willing to work for a country in which even the poorest person thinks that it is their own country, all right, and the poorest will feel that they have a voice in this country. And then he continues and talks about that he wants an India in which there will be no class division and no caste division, all right, that there should be no low class and high class, and it should be an India in which all the people will live in harmony, in brotherhood. Then he continues and say that in such a country where all the people are living in harmony, there is no high class, no low class, no bondage, no slavery, then in such an India there will be even no room for untouchability or even the curse of intoxicating drinks. Means people, what are intoxicating drinks? Class 9th. You know what are intoxicating drinks?
Yes, alcohol and all.
Alright, so alcoholic drinks. So what he said that he wanted in India in which there was no untouchability and no one use intoxicating drinks and drugs, and also a country where women had the same rights as men, and he said that he will be satisfied with nothing less but all of this. And this dream of an India that in dream of an India which had equality for all. It was also shared by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he had a very important role in the framing of the Indian Constitution. But he had his different viewpoint as to how these inequalities can be removed, and many times he even openly criticized Mahatma Gandhi and his vision. And when the Constituent Assembly was being concluded, he spoke about it, and he spoke about his anxiety and his tension very clearly. Let's go through this also. Let's see what he writes. On the 26th of January 1950, we are going to enter a life of contradictions. So, this was in the concluding speech of the Constituent Assembly, means the constitution was already framed by now, and this is what he said in his ending speech, that from 26 January, when the new constitution would be accepted, would be brought in force, then India would enter into a life of contradictions, two opposite things. Now in politics, we will have equality, means each person, one vote, each vote equal value. But in the social and economic life, we will still have inequality. And in politics, we will regard the principle of one man, one vote, like I told you just now. But in social and economic life, because a country has been structured on the basis of caste system. What was the caste system?
Yes, ma'am, we know.
What was it about?
The division of people based on birth.
Alright, so the division of people based on birth, we have 4 castes and all that. And so what Dr. B.R. Ambedkar says, that in politics, we will have equality, but in society and economic life, society means social life, and economic life means on the basis of money, there would be differences, there would be inequality, and means because our social structure is that, so we will not treat each person equally in society as well as in terms of money. And then he says that how long do we have to live this life of contradictions, where on one platform we are treating everyone equal, and on the other platform we are having inequality, and how long we shall deny equality to other people in social as well as economic life. And then he says that if we continue like this life of contradictions, then we will put our political democracy also in danger, in peril. Like if we continue like this, we are giving equality on political basis but inequality on social and economic basis, then we cannot go on very long on this path, and we will put our political democracy also in danger. So have you understood till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Alright, so we will end today's class here, and tomorrow when we meet again, then we'll try to finish off the chapter. Alright, all of you? Understood everything? Anything that you have not understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, okay, so that would be all for today.